Thanks for joining us on our late night update on Hurricane Delta. I'm Chief Meteorologist Leslie Hudson, making sure we've got all of our social media platforms up and running. So if I'm looking down, if I am looking down for a couple of times, that's because I'm just making sure that we've got everything ready to roll here. So I hope this camera's okay. I actually didn't check that part of the shot, Matt, so let me know if I need to bump that over a little bit. But anyway, we want to let you know that within 24 hours from now, Hurricane Delta will have made landfall. The current estimate thinking from the Hurricane Center is that landfall is going to be somewhere in a window between 5 p.m. tomorrow night and maybe 9 or 10 tomorrow night as well, Central Time. So we've got a kind of a large window there. That we've seen all kinds of fluctuations from the Hurricane Center in terms of estimated landfall, but what we haven't seen changed all that much is where they think it's going to come in. And this is looking much more and more like a southern and southwestern Louisiana landfall. It's been like that for several days, but we were expecting to see some minor fluctuations, which are still possible within these 24 hours. But I do think this could be very near Cameron or Lake Arthur, Port Arthur rather, as we head into tomorrow night. So we're going to unpack all of that for you and get you updated and let you know what's going on. A couple of things new as of 11 p.m. The hurricane is stronger at this hour. The sustained winds are at 120 miles an hour. And if you've been watching our coverage, I've been mentioning that tonight at this time, when I was doing the live update yesterday, that this is going to be the worst that we'll see in terms of the veracity of Delta. We think it's going to continue to have about another 4 to 6 hours to maybe even get a little stronger before it starts to interact with some cooler sea surface temperatures and that wind shear becomes more of a player. But let me show you the app real quick, and then I'm going to show you the actual eye on the ground-based radar, because we have a really good vantage point of that now. So it's going to be much easier to track the movement of Delta now that the ground-based radar in the United States is picking it up. So look at the app, and we've got the wind layer toggled on yet again. We also have the hurricane tracker on, which is an upgrade, but you do not need this to track hurricanes. So I'm just going to show you the track real quick here in the app. You can see how long it is as we get into the next couple of days. And then I'm going to turn this off because, again, not a requirement to track hurricanes. Really, the wind layer is such a key player in terms of trying to take a look at the wind, take a look at the eye itself. And as you see here, we've seen a lot of the heavier rains, those reds there on the south and the southwest side of the eye wall today. So we've seen some fluctuations yesterday. The northeastern eye wall, which typically has the worst weather, and that's where we do expect most of the worst weather to be with this hurricane. That is, in fact, where all of the most energy is kind of stored up, if you will, in these big hurricanes. And then we've seen some of that wraparound moisture get all the way around a circle. So we've talked about that as well. When you see the reds completely encircle or encapsulate the center, that indicates a very mature and healthy hurricane. So that's what we've seen tonight. We've seen that on the infrared, and we've also seen it on the infrared imagery as well as the radar. So let me switch over, Matt, to the ground-based radar first, and I want to stop this because there's actually a couple of good things I want to point out to you. So if you've got that full screen, Matt, continue to take it full screen, because let's take a look at that eye, which you can again clearly see. It's a little ragged in presentation. I'm going to zoom in here, and there it is. And if you're still not entirely sure, of course, it's right here. Not completely cylindrical, not a perfect donut like we talk about, but certainly closed off on all four quadrants. And it's about 30 miles across. So it's expanded since yesterday, since we were on 24 hours ago. So yesterday at this time, it was about 15 miles across. Now the the eye itself rather, is about 30 miles across. And hurricane force winds, by the way, extend out about 40 miles from the center. So that would be generally, it's going to be in this neighborhood right here. And then the tropical storm force winds extend out about, let's see here, I want to make sure you get it right, 160 miles from the center. And I've got to clear this off real quick. And that would be right about in Ooh, I can't, I'm even out of the scope here. Let me pull this out a little bit because that already shows you that just how expansive that tropical storm force wind field is. Okay, that should do it. So let's try that one more time. So 160 miles out from the center. Nope, it's still getting stuck there. But you get the idea. So it's already, we're getting very close to getting sustained winds of tropical storm that's knocking on the door there across Louisiana. So there's Louisiana. There's Cameron, unfortunately, in the bullseye of Delta, just like it was with Laura. And it looks like this is going to be eerily similar in the path, not in scope of intensity, but it's definitely going to be very similar in terms of where this hurricane comes in at. So let me show you some videos. So one of the videos that we always like to show is from the Hurricane Hunter aircraft. And this is from one of the pilots, Jeremy DeHart. You may follow him on Twitter. He's a great follow. I highly suggest you do because he really gets great video. So you see that little blob off in the distance? That's one of the other hurricane planes. It's the NOAA 42. It's the one of the NOAA aircraft that flies in the upper levels of the atmosphere of the hurricane, and he got it on video as it was doing several passes inside of the eye of Delta. And he said this was the first time that he had seen the other aircraft, the NOAA aircraft, inside a hurricane like this for any length of time. And I got to tell you, this is the first time I've ever seen something like this as well for this duration of time. He had this video for about a minute. So really fascinating and just incredible capture there with him getting the actual aircraft as it's penetrating the core of Delta, getting all that life-saving information that's so important to the Hurricane Center when they come up with the forecast. Okay, let me switch gears and take you to a live